Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. I hope you guys are having a great day. Well, today was not the best day for the market as we saw CPI data, inflation data come in hotter than expected and actually is starting to rise a little bit compared to what we saw from the February numbers. And this was higher than analyst expectations. We saw about a 1% drop. We're going to be talking about PLTR and probably one of the best things that it has to stay stabilized in this market if we do see a pullback, because now the probability of rate cuts happening in June are continuing to dwindle. So the question is, are we even going to get any rate cuts in 2024? At first, the market priced in last November 6 to 7, and now those numbers are quickly dwindling. So we're going to be talking about what could be happening. If you are a new or returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos, and of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now, PLTR actually does a better job holding this area of support right here at about that $22, $23 area. This neckline at this gap right here has been starting to become a stronger level of support as time has progressed. You can see right here, and this is important because if PLTR can't hold this neckline, we're in this head and shoulders pattern right now, but hopefully we can try to get a reversal out of it. We do have this gap right here that we do need to be cautious about. However, still doing well even with the lower trading volume for PLTR, looking decently healthy. What we do see across the markets is about a 1% pullback looking at the Dow Jones, S&P 500, NASDAQ, and specifically what we had for the inflationary numbers that did come in. We had the consumer price index that rose 0.4% over the previous month and 3.5% over the previous year in March. This is an unexpected acceleration, like I said, from February's numbers at 3.2%, and this measures a 0.3% month over month and a 3.4% annual increase. This is ahead of the economic forecast, which is what these numbers were, their predictions. And with that, talking about that, around 80% of the bets are now that the Fed is holding steady at the current rate levels in June. More than half, 50% of those investors are expecting the central bank to leave the rate unchanged through its July meeting, leaving September as the most likely spot for the initial cut from the U.S. central bank. So where are the rate cuts? I don't think we're going to be seeing them anytime soon, considering what we're seeing with inflation, especially with crude oil prices that are still continuing to be a hot shot right now with those commodities. That's really been a big driver. What we do see, let's look at options right here, is a little bit of call volume. You can see at the 23, nothing to be crazy about for end of the week expirations compared to the puts right here. And like I said, just not a ton of volume coming into PLTR today. So what I did want to highlight, and specifically, this is a great Seeking Alpha article I wanted to talk about. I am an affiliate with them. I get all my information, a lot of important data regarding the stocks that I cover. If you want a premium membership for 20% off, check out the link down in the description. But with this, Palantir's, their involvement with the government operations, this provides a crucial sense of stability. And I really like the way that this is worded in the Seeking Alpha article, because the governmental contracts is really what Palantir kind of built its basis on and started to build that trust and credibility. And now you're seeing their transition and involvement to trying to intertwine governmental and commercial contracts. Compared with this more lucrative fixed commercial contracts, even though governmental contracts are kind of slower and lumpy, not as exciting as getting involved with these big commercial companies, it is a sense of stability. I can't agree anymore. And that goes into what we see with PLTR and what we see with their financials is they have a very strong financial sheet with the amount of revenue that they have coming in, and especially with the amount of cash that they have on hand, is about $3 billion with about literally no liabilities. So the fact that they have no liabilities is really, really important for when times do get tough. If we see any more pullback in the market, especially with this inflation that is continuing to rise and we are not seeing changes in the interest rates, then with their balance sheet right here, what we could see is them having to utilize some of all their cash on hand, and depending on what they're kind of getting involved in, but also this helps keep them a leading competitor within the industry. And this is where we get into one of the biggest criticisms that we always talk about, valuation. Remember a few weeks ago when we were talking about videos with all these different analysis right here that were downgrading Palantir stock from neutral to hold as a result of its high price to sales ratio. This was kind of a big hit that I kind of saw. All of a sudden everybody had changed their, or not everybody, a lot of analysts just came here and said, look at the valuation. It's always been richly priced. We've always seen PLTR trading at a high valuation. And I agree with this article here that PLTR should be able to maintain its premium valuation over time, even if we do see more bearish potential in the market. And this is just going to happen as the top line continues to increase and as we see this kind of growth period that PLTR has experienced within the last few quarters. And this is a risk that does come associated with PLTR. I can agree with that 100%. And especially with the high valuation where we set it right now at this price to earnings right now, 91.24. You can see right here, valuation gets a D compared to all the different, growth, profitability, momentum. Bigger things that you see in growth stocks usually getting B's or A's in terms of grades for how these things are trending. But with that being said, a risk that does come is just speculation. And also another risk is too much of an intersection between the governmental and the commercial projects. I would also agree that they're saying that if they get too involved with them, these can maybe kind of have a negative effect on each other. What if there's some type of cross, basically interruption of the governmental contracts being too involved with one, if they're affecting one another. But one thing that I am seeing is that PLTR is really getting heavily involved with the commercial side of things. And we saw that with the last quarter results, the fact that they had that 70% growth. We're seeing their customers coming out the table for AIP. They say that they're staying busy enough that they basically have AIP conference calls every single day, trying to bring that use case, utilizing those boot camps to bring more commercial customers. We're seeing those contracts that are continuing to evolve, governmental and commercial contracts, talking about the Titan one of the governmental, and you got Oracle that was just last week with PLTR. So PLTR is looking very healthy. And the fact that you also have Cathie Wood, a big investor of getting into disruptive technologies, that is continuing to add to her PLTR bag. You can see here with this opportunity, Cathie Wood had recently just bought another 90,000 shares right here. Sorry, $90,000 at 4,000 shares of PLTR. So she's continuing to buy PLTR at this lower 20 points, which means with the next earnings, what is the kind of information that we don't have for us that maybe some of these insiders might have? Earnings is now less than a month away. And earnings per share is sitting at 8 cents. That is the prediction, with earnings per share revisions that are continuing to be in the bullish direction. You can see 7 here in the last 90 days. So this is a big barometer on why valuation is continuing to be high, why people are paying a premium, because PLTR has been able to maintain that valuation for nearly the entirety of its public trading atmosphere. Its world. We've seen PLTR always trading at a high premium. So with that high valuation, I don't know if personally I would let that be the number one thing that makes me stick away from a potential growth stock like that, because a lot of these tech stocks have very high valuations. So I know I hit that hammer hard every single time, but it just makes sense. And taking a look at that, this is a speculative stock. Like I said, this isn't just the S&P 500, something boring. This is something that could have the potential to grow pretty fast. So that's all about talking about. Of course, do your own research out there. Don't listen to some random guy just solely as one random guy on YouTube for all your advice, and do your own due diligence. Peace out. Take care, and I'll catch you guys later.